Do you wish to view the tutorial? Yeah. Welcome to the tutorial. To advance to the text, please click the left mouse button or press space. Okay. This is the main way to advance the story. You may also use the auto function to automatically continue. Change speed and options. Notice there's no save or load in this game. This is because stories are short, linear, no choices, and the part that will unlock do not require a save to be remembered by the game. At some points, you may see a choice menu. Highlight and click or press enter on the option you wish to select. Let's look at content warnings real quick. Horror game, and as such will contain content that some players may find disturbing. However, there's no sexual content or explicit imagery of injury or excessive gore. Bond describes the content you may encounter, however it will spoil some of the story by revealing twists and contents. No. I wanted a surprise. So we'll go back to the menu. And I did it again. Okay. Perfect trip, wish you were here. We left early in the morning to beat traffic, you said with a smile. So you packed the cool box, sandwiches, and treats between ice packs and juice cartons. And a bottle of juice for the grown-ups, of course. The kids in the back seat were fast asleep. A moment's peace we could savor before the dawn. I cracked a joke, one you heard 1,000 times, but it still made you laugh. A pleasant break in the long drive. Maybe that's why you didn't notice it. That little pothole in the road. I barely felt the bump at first, and I held my breath wondering if our little passengers would wait. Our luck held out. They didn't even notice when you pulled over to the side of the road. You frowned the way you always do when you're puzzled, and you realized we needed to get out the tools. Such a small thing, but the tire was flat. At least we had our spare, you said, and plenty of time to change it. I peeked in through the back window. Two little faces still fast asleep, so we got to work as quickly as we could. I took the little cones, the ones you kept for just such an occasion, put them behind us to warn other drivers. You got out your tool and started to work. You had a spare, you had spread a spare blanket on the tarmac. Keep yourself from feeling discomfort of the hard road. You always thought ahead. I watched you wipe the sweat from your brow and casually brush the oil and dirt from your hands onto your jeans. It didn't matter. You were going to change when we got there. You just wanted to be comfortable for the drive. It helped you with the heavy lifting, keeping an eye on the road too, in case of traffic, when everything was peaceful in the misty morning. Soon enough, we were on our way again. The radio quietly crackled to life with those familiar songs, and for long the children woke to sing along. Our voices joined with their off-pitch choir, disjointed harmonies covering the rattle of our supplies in the back. An hour down the road, we came to a rest stop, a welcome break to stretch our legs. I offered to take the kids to the bathroom, maybe buy them a couple of treats, keep them happy, while you wash the oil off your hands. As you were busy changing, I even chose some of your favorite flowers. That's my way to thank you for planning our trip. We could set them on the blanket, another way to brighten up the picnic we planned. It took a little while for the children to choose what they wanted, but we still had plenty of time to get to the beach. The excitement continued when we were all back in the car, just for songs and games of I Spy. I'm not allowed to play that game anymore, for reasons. Until eventually the tram call from the backseat, voices in perfect unison. You can see the sea. It's because I always pick like the smallest thing, so no fun. The heartwarming traditions we passed to them from our childhoods, like the castle-shaped buckets and plastic spades, and looking for buried treasure in the sand. It was the start of a perfect day, memory that will last forever. The end. Castles in the sand. The mid-morning was warm as usual as I poured some tea from my flask into the little cup and looked out across the beach. From my perch on the beach, I could throw seeds to the birds, and some adventurous little starlings might even sit beside me to get the pick of the spread. I smiled to myself, watching the children play, as I remember the friend I had met on this very shore all those years ago. I was only about 6 or 7 years old, and was ready for a morning of fun on the sands. My parents were relaxing with books in their hands, and my siblings were splashing in the surf. But me, I liked to build. I had my plain buckets of fresh seawater to dip in the sand. My pretty shaped buckets to build a bait and several little spades in different sizes. I even had some plastic shapes that I could fill with sand, push out the forms of starfish and mermaids for decoration. But that day was a little different to normal. It was the day I met my friend. I'm not sure where they came from, but they skipped across the sand with a smile and a wave. You like building castles too? Can I help? It's always nice to do things together than alone. I patted the sand by my side, and soon we were working together to flatten a good area to build on. We started with the moat, digging out a little channel around the edge and piling the sand to the side. Every good castle has a moat to keep them safe from dragons. They grinned and mimicked the roar, arms flapping like the wings of a fantastical werevan. I shook with laughter at their imaginative skills, and then we moved on to our masterpiece, the castle itself. The buckets filled with sand that we damped with the water, carefully tipping them on their ends and tapping the side to make sure they held their shape without crumbling. My new friend suggested we make into a big castle, like in medieval times. He even found some string and sticks we could use to make a drawbridge. We built tall towers with pointed tops, and long walls with battlements and parapets in their staggered shapes along the outer edges. They even showed me a new trick, one I hadn't thought of before. By burying our arms gently in the top of a mound, we would create an arch like a bridge. We brushed the loose sand from our skin after, marveling at the shapes that we had created, eagerly planning what to do next, or what to add next. Maybe some starfish over the bridge, and a mermaid beside the moat. We began to weave stories about the people of the castle, the monarchs and their subjects, the jesters and their jokes, even the cooks in the kitchen baking their pies. They knew so much about fairy tales and legends, tales from times long ago, from books and bedtimes with parents and cousins. The courage and skill of heroes and knights, fairies and elves, with magic and might. In our mind, the characters came to life. We could almost see them running around the castle as we decorated it with shells and pretty stones. At last it was done, and we filled up the moat with the leftover water, proud of our creation. Just then I heard my family call and promised my friend we'd meet again here someday. We skipped off to lunch with a smile on my face. When I looked back, they waved a cheery farewell, strolling back across the other side of the dunes and out of my view. It seemed like a small memory, but I held it close to my heart today. I hadn't seen them since we were so young. I was brought back to the moment with a warm voice beside me, sweet nostalgia growing with each word. You like feeding the birds too? Can I help? It's always nice to do things together than alone. They're older now, like me, but the smile and their words were just the same. I'm sure we have more stories to tell, our own heroes and castles, and all the time in the world. We'll stay here a while, beneath the clear skies, and relive the days of our youth. I smiled and agreed, glad to have found my friend once more. A new perfect memory to treasure for a lifetime. Okay. I guess it gets darker after we finish with the Oop, I changed the light by accident. Better. It's a beautiful day for a picnic, so I brought lunch with me to the beach and rested on the dunes. A long day's work was always made better with a break in the sun, a book in my hand and a scenic view before me. It might not be quiet, but the sounds of the seaside always calm my mind. Gulls swooped above me, wheeling and diving through the air, calling out to each other when they spotted someone with food they could share. Children laughed and played in the water, while his parents watched on from the sand, tanning comfortably in the summer sun. Picnic area nearby even allowed barbecues, and that's the scene that drew my eye today. The smell was already drifting towards me, sizzling of flavors, treats like a symphony of flavor. Most of the adults stood by the little grill, a table nearby already spread with snacks and drinks, colorful cloth laid out beneath the plates. Nearby the children played. The younger pair sat on a blanket with their toys, signing to each other with smiles and happy gestures. It looked like they were making up stories and adventures together. Little characters and plush toys having a party in the warm midday sun. Short distance away, the older three kicked the ball between them, the other dog joining in with more energy than their age might imply. Teams of two with an old and much loved football and goalposts made from backpacks and jumpers laid out on the sand. Perhaps I let my gaze linger too long on the peaceful scene, but I realized one of the adults was walking towards me. I worried I might have been rude, ceasing out while watching this sweet family. Then a friendly voice called out to me. "You look a little lonely and we have food to spare. Would you like to join us for lunch?" I looked at the sandwich in my lunchbox, sat next to a few basic snacks, thought it might be nice for a change. Everyone was friendly and made me feel right at home, offering me a seat at the table and a fresh drink from the cooler. I was seated in the middle, welcomed into part of the family, with joyful hands, slaps on my shoulder, and a few warm hugs. Now I was closer, I could see the delicious spread, and the food on the grill was almost ready. Sausage and burgers, and colorful vegetables arranged on skewers, fresh salads and rolls laid out ready and waiting. Someone called out to the children, who quickly formed a line with plates in hand. The youngest didn't speak, but could sign well for her age, explaining what she wanted while her sibling held her plate. I couldn't understand what she was meant, but she soon had a good selection and a smile, a mile wide. The children laughed and chattered, having such a wonderful time, everyone getting along and joking together. I stood to help pass them their drinks, handing out napkins to wipe the sauces from their faces. Happy faces. Once the kids had their food and settled on the blankets to eat, the rest was brought to the table for the grown-ups to share. The spread laid out before us was a wonderful feast, smiles and laughter filling the air and making me feel right at home. I was glad I made the choice to leave the office today. My lukewarm sandwich was forgotten in my bag, leaving my field with my newfound friends. Even though our meeting was brief, I'd be carrying a smile in my heart for the rest of the day. Too bad I can't always be like that. Getting closer. Serendipitous swim. Okay. The end of the low tide was still a few hours away, so we furled our sails to take a swim in the calm waters. It would be easier to come back into the harbor later, and the weather was perfect for an afternoon dip. The three of us secured everything on board before fetching the snorkels and flippers. A light clothing stowed in the cabin in favor of the swimwear we wore underneath. The cool of the water was refreshing as I rolled back off the side of the little craft, a soft splash muffled as I was briefly submerged. When I surfaced, I wiped the excess water from my mask and looked to my friends who were already folding calmly on their backs, relaxing in the sun. We swam a little while, keeping close to the boat and enjoying the peace away from land. In these moments, it felt like all our worries were carried away by the sea, as if we were in a whole different world. But then we saw a grayish fin approaching us. At first I was worried, but my fears were eased as the dolphin surfaced and rolled onto its side as it passed us by. Dolphins are kind of bullies of the water. Kinda. It seemed curious, as if looking for a spare fish by the boat, but it gradually came closer to see what we were doing in the water. It was larger than I expected from the pictures and film, but it was playful and calm as it swam even nearer to our group. Remembering all that we learned, we let it come towards us on its own, and I delighted as I felt the smooth, thick skin as it surfaced by my side. It dove on the water and swam further than we could see. Then mere seconds later, it leapt out of the water a few meters away, smooth body glistening in the sun. Gasps of wonder escaped us as we marveled at the beautiful sight. Magnificent creature playfully displaying its fantastic strength. Oh, fascinating. Embroiled by the dolphin's actions, we began to swim around it as it played in the water with us. I couldn't help but be amazed that such a creature could be so gentle, nudging us with its rounded nose and splashing us with its tail. We floated and swam, above and beneath the water, and watched all the ways it liked to play with us. Rose little teeth. Okay. Rose the little teeth sparkling in the sun as it chattered to us, going beneath us and turned to fully investigate these strange, leggy creatures in the sun. The next little nudge pushed me towards my friend, as if telling us to play more together, as delighted in our laughter and joy. One friend climbed onto the deck and threw out a ball, which we gently nudged toward the dolphin, encouraging it to play with us. I held my sides as I shook with laughter, as the beautiful mammal splashed the ball right into my friend's face. After a few minutes, the encounter was over, and we climbed onto the boat, watching the gray fin swim away in the distance. But even though it was brief, we were amazed by our luck. The wild animal would choose to have some fun with us today. Hauling back to the shore, we talked about the experience, a rare tale to share with our friends on dry land, and we hoped we might see it again. Awesome. 2 more. The setting sun. Your soft crimson glow reflects off the rippling water. I look at you, you look at me. We turn our gaze to the sunset as you slip your arm around my shoulders. I'm happy here, in your soft embrace. Safe, warm, and in love. We watch the sun slowly sink behind the horizon, like a whale diving back beneath the waves. As the light begins to fade, you turn to me and say those magical words. I love you. The last glimmer of the setting sun reflects in your soulful eyes as you speak them. My heart beats faster as I hear them. Each word floats in the air between us as I reply. I love you. We linger on those simple words for what seems like hours, warm emotions flooding our hearts in the comfortable silence. And then you kiss me. We ascend to heaven through our lips as the first diamond stars begin to twinkle knowingly in the velvet sky. We stand up together, but I'm shivering. You lend me your coat, though I can tell you're cold too. Your kindness in your every action. The warmth of my emotions spread as this love for you grows like a blooming rose in my heart. I can feel the butterflies in my stomach as we walk across the sand. My senses fill with joy. We walk back toward the palms and sit beneath the trees. The sweet excitement slowly gives way to a satisfied exhaustion as a yawn escapes me. I'm almost ready to slip into the sweet embrace of sleep, but then I feel something. My eyelids drooping, I slip my hand into your coat pocket. Ah, what's this? The sound of the box clicking open is muffled by my happy sigh, but I feel the shape of the ring within. I smile knowing that when I wake this feeling will last forever, heading with you by my side. I close the box quietly. Oh man, I did it again. Quietly as a happy dream begins to fade into my mind. The soft click of it closing is a sweet lullaby as I fall asleep within your arms. Oh, that's sweet. One last one and then we're on to, I guess, the Horrordays. Lady of the Sea. The nets were heavy as the creaking machinery pulled them in. A good catch for a long night. The moonlight sparkled over countless scales, a wriggling mass of soul that would fetch a good price in the morning market. Your wrinkled smile lit up the deck as we worked to sort and clean our harvest before they went into the hold. It was the end of an era, both of us, but we had a good run. Decades on the ocean, our little trawler, a home away from home. A small crew, a family upon the waves. But tonight was just us, our last hurrah, our farewell to the sea and all she had brought us. Silver hair and pale blue eyes twinkled in the starlight as you clapped a strong hand on my shoulder. Looks like we'll be eating well tomorrow. The same line I heard year after year. Your smile triumphed beneath your unruly beard as we celebrated our success. Fetch the bottle, Captain. I will toast to ya. To ya. Yeah. My reply was the same as always, with a playful flick your black and white cap. The one thing you managed to keep playing somehow. I knew it would take pride of place on your mantle, a reminder to the life we chose, a precious part of who we are. Who you are. Before you could fetch the sherry from the cabin, we heard a voice from across the waves. We paused our merriment and leaned across the starboard side, perplexed by the beautiful tones echoing through the night. Sweet voice and gentle song, but no other boat in sight. I raised the anchor while you took the helm, drifting us gently in the direction of the melody. I could barely believe my eyes as I waved a hand to signal you to stop. Your feet moved swiftly, but carefully across the damp deck, joining me at the edge as we both wondered if we were dreaming. We didn't remember there being rocks here, but there she was, perched atop them, a sweet lullaby and flawless figure filling the darkness with eternal beauty. Just like the tales our ancestors told, a human body but a fish-like tail, dipping into the water's edge. Come to me, fair sailors, her song continued. Let me take your fears away. Come to me, sweet fishers, a sweet refrain. There's new life beneath the waves. I can't, dear lady, you sadly replied. I'm almost out of time. Come to me, my love, she smiled with care. I'll give you all that's mine. I could hardly believe what I saw as she swam to our side, her hand outstretched towards you. Your life on land is at its end, it seemed she knew. But here in the sea, you'll know no pain. But then what of my friends? You turned to me. Will I ever see them again? I saw your face, weary and worn, and truth be told, my heart was torn. If what she offers is really true, then I will finally remember you. You kicked off your boots and took off your cap, one last embrace before you placed it upon my head. You turned to the mermaid, who reached her arms to you, and climbed over the side of the boat to the water. The moment your feet touched the waves, you began to change. Your toes became fins, old knees joined together in your tail, your wrinkles moving out to show the one I'd first set sail with all those years ago. She kissed you softly on your forehead, and soon the rocks were gone from view, as she took your hand and swam away with you. I watched you leave, a bittersweet parting, but I knew you were safe now, free from pain. And perhaps I'd join you upon those rocks someday. Alright. Well, now that we finished all the good stories, we're on to the horror days. So if you do not wish to continue beyond this point, you can stop at any point. And yeah, we're just gonna get into the first horror day. The perfect crime. We left so early in the morning to avoid traffic, you said with a smirk. So we packed the cold box, leftovers and junk, put between ice packs and juice cartons, and a spare bottle of wine from last night, for us. The kids in the back were snoring softly, almost peace we knew wouldn't last beyond the dawn. I told a joke, one you heard 1,000 times before, so you laughed. A hollow fake sound punctuating the long drive. Maybe that's why you didn't see her, that little girl in the road, I barely felt the impact at first. And held my breath hoping the little passengers wouldn't wake. At least some luck. They didn't even notice when you swerved over to the side of the road. You frowned the way you always do to tell me not to say a word when you realized we had to get her out of the road. Such a small thing, but now she was dead. At least she looked homeless, you said. We have time to hide the proof. I peeked in through the back window to see two little bodies still motionlessly asleep, so we got to work as quickly as we could. I took the little cones, the ones that usually took up useless space for some imagined emergency, put them out to block the road behind us. You rolled up your sleeves and started to work. Spread the spare blanket on the tarmac to roll her bloodied form within it. These preparations were useful today. I watched you hold back to vomit with a hand clamped over your mouth. I hate to smear the blood from your hands onto your jeans. It didn't matter. You would find somewhere you could change before anyone saw. It looked terrible on you anyway. Numb to the action, I helped you lift her, keeping an eye on the road in case of witnesses. Everything was dead silent in the foggy morning. Soon enough, we were on our way again. The radio eerily cracked to life with those tired old tunes, and all too soon the children woke to sing along. Our voices joined in their off-pitch wailing. It joined a covering the bump of the road of bumping of the broken body in the back. Long hour down the road, we finally reached a stop. A necessary break to hide our mistake. Distract the kids with a trip to the bathroom, buying them a few treats to keep them happy, while you wash the blood off your hands. After you were busy changing, I had picked out some sweet flowers, a small way to pacify my guilt for what we had done. We could lay them on the beach, a way to give her a grave without a grave. It took as long as I could, letting the children choose what they wanted, give you plenty of time to bury her in the woods. Anxiety grew within us when we were back in the car, discordant songs and fear in each new round of I Spy. Till I finally that triumphant yell from the backseat, voices in eerie unison. We can see the sea. The tired little traditions we handed to them from our childhoods. Like the crackle little buckets and cheap plastic spades, now only hoping they'd never know about what you buried in the woods. It was the end of a perfect crime, perfect memory that will haunt us forever. Well then. Yes, now it's separated. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Child of the Sands. Ooh. Sandcastle looks a little different. The mid-morning was warm as usual as I poured some lukewarm tea from my flask into the cheap plastic cup and looked out across the beach. From my place on the hard bench, I could see seeds to the birds, or give seeds, although often the larger ones would fight their way to get to the pick of the spread. I sighed to myself, watching the children play. I remember the one I had met on this very shore so many years ago. I was only about 6 or 7 years old and was left to play by myself on the sand. But my parents were ignoring each other with books in their hands, while my siblings were fighting in the surf. My escape? I liked to build. I had my buckets of dirty water to wet the sand, my crack-shaped buckets to build the base, and several cheap spades in different sizes. I even had some plastic shapes that I could fill with sand and press out the forms of sharks and sea monsters for decoration. But that day was a little stranger than normal. It was the day I met them. I'm not sure where they came from, but they skipped awkwardly across the sand with a lopsided grin and a wave. You like building things too? Can I join you? It's always more fun to do things together than alone. I silently cleared some space by my side, and soon we were flattening out the area to build on. We started with the moat, digging out the little channel around the edge and piling the sand to the side. Every castle needs a moat to keep the monsters out. They opened their mouth and let out an unnatural roar, arched from the claws of some horrifying beasts. I shook off my fear as they laughed, looked at human once more, and tried to move on to the main part, the castle itself. The bucket stuffed with sand that we dumped, well not dumped but damped with the water, cautiously tipping them upside down and tapping the sides to keep their shape without crumbling. My odd friends suggested we make it into a big castle, like they used to know, and even pulled out some reddish string and white sticks we could use to make a drawbridge. We built crooked towers with sharp tops and winding walls with battlements and parapets and their jagged shapes along the outer edges. They even showed me a new trick one I hadn't seen before. Burying our arms comfortably in the top of the mound to make an arch like a bridge. I watched them brush the loose sand from their grayish skin, ever more confused at their unsettling appearance as they plotted what to do next. Maybe some graves by the bridge and some bodies beneath the moat. They began to tell tales to people in the castle, the monarchs and their servants, the jesters and their mockery, even the prisoners beneath the floors rotting in their cells. They knew so much about the scary tales and legends, memories from times long ago, from ghosts and demons with human faces and names. The tortures and kills of villains and lords, soldiers and devils with poisons and swords. In my mind, the horrors came to life. I can almost hear them screaming in the castle as they covered it with weeds and... were those bones? At least it was done, and they filled up the moat with what should have been water. Blood now part of this creation. Just then I heard my family yell and decided it was high time I should run away. I stumbled off to lunch with tears staining my face. When I dared to look back, they waved a creepy farewell, looking back into the sand of the dunes and out of sight. It seemed like some nightmare, but it lingered in my mind today. I hadn't seen them since they disappeared. Wonder why. I was dragged back to the present with a hollow voice beside me. Creepy, terroring, well not terror, but terror growing with each word. You like being things too? Can I join you? It's always more fun to do things together than alone. I was older now, wiser too, but the one sat beside me had not aged a day. I'm sure I became just a story to tell. The villains in this castle, they're all too real in this world. Come join me a while, beneath the cold ground, and return to the days of your youth. I had to scream and run, but I found my voice was no more. A slow and painful ending to my life. Well then, okay. I guess now we're on to the picnic one. Macabre meal? It was too hot to stay in the office, so I brought my lunch with me to the beach and sat on the dunes. A long day's work was ahead of me, but it was nice to take a break with a book and a different view. It was loud by the sea, but this was better than the alternative. Gulls swooped above me, circling like vultures in the air, screeching at each other when they spotted someone with food they could steal. Children shrieked and screamed as they played, while parents did their best to block out the noise, tanning to a crisp in the sun. The picnic area nearby even allowed barbecues, and that's the scene that drew my eye today. The stench was already drifting towards me, some indescribable shapes charring as they cooked. Mostly adults crowded around the little grill, the table nearby already laden with snacks and drinks, staying cloth laid out beneath the cracked plates. Nearby the children played. Younger pairs sat on a ragged blanket with their toys, signing to each other with sinister smiles and ghoulish gestures. It looked like they were setting up a murder scene together, like little characters and plush toys creating the macabre scene in the sun. Short distance away, the older three kicked the ball between them, with another adult joining in though they struggled to keep pace. Teams of two, with a strange-looking football, seemed to be oddly colored and roughly stitched, leaving red marks in the sand. I had become paralyzed, so that my gaze lingered too long on the disquieting scene. Then I realized one of the adults was approaching me. I had no time to worry about being rude, spacing out while watching this odd family. Then the cold voice pulled me to my senses. You look a little lonely, and we have room to spare. You should join us for lunch. I left my lunchbox in the sand and contents long forgotten. Decided it was time to leave. Everyone was faster and dragged me right over, binding my hands with rope and a dirty gag muffling my screams. I was shoved onto the beach, forced to sit in the middle of the family. Rough hands clamped on my shoulders, holding me still. Now I was closer, I could see the horrifying spread and the food on the grill was almost ready. Sausages and burgers, and pieces of fingers arranged on skewers, sharp knives and rolls laid out ready and waiting. Someone called out to the children, who quickly formed a line with weapons in hand. The youngest didn't speak but could sigh well for her age, explaining what she wanted to do while her sibling held her knife. I couldn't understand the phrases, but I soon found out that she carved out my eye with this sick smirk. My muffled scream escaped the gag. The horror of seeing them enjoy my flesh, everyone acting like this was a normal day. I tried to stand to escape, but my strength began to wane as the blood poured down my face. Once the kids had sliced parts of me away and settled on the blankets with their spoils, I was tied onto the table for the grown-ups to share. I was spread out before them as a candle of feast. Fiendish grins and my own muffled weeping make me wish I'd gone home. I regretted my choice to leave the office today. A lukewarm sandwich forgotten with my bag as my newfound friends ate their fill of me. I'd finally known our meeting would end with them ending my life, just to fill their stomachs for the rest of the day. Okay. Now we're on to the Killer Dolphin one. Sinister Swim. A sinister swimmer. Only a few hours left until we need to head back into the tide. We furl our sails to take a swim in placid waters. It would be hard to go back into the harbor now anyway, with the tide low until later, but the weather was pleasant enough for now. 3 of us tied everything down before grabbing snorkel the flippers, our thin clothing stashed in the cabin in favor of the swimwear we wore underneath. The chill of the water was bracing as I rolled back off the side of the old craft. The world silenced as I went under. When I surfaced, I wiped excess water from my mask and looked to my friends who were already floating silently on their backs, toasting in the sun. We swam a while, keeping close to the boat and savoring our isolation from the land. In these moments, it felt like we could be carried away by the sea, taken from our words into a different world. But then we saw a gray fin, well, not a gray fin, but grayish fin racing towards us. At first I wasn't worried. My fear was calmed by the dolphin surfacing as it circled around our craft. It seemed hungry, nudging the boat as if looking for spare fish. The gradually came closer to examine our drifting forms in the water. It was larger than I expected from pictures and film, but it was oddly sinister as it swam ever nearer to our group. Remembering all that we learned, we didn't move towards it, and I froze as I felt its huge form brush past my legs under the surface. It dove underwater and swam further than we could see. Then mere seconds later, it rammed its nose into my friend, fresh blood glistening on its gray skin. Gasps of horror escaped us as we recoiled at the horrific sight. The savage creature callously displaying its terrifying strength. Frightened by the creature's action, we again swam back to the boat as it toyed with our screaming friend. I couldn't help but be appalled that a dolphin could be so brutal, ramming into our friend with its bludgeoning nose and smacking their body with its tail. We tried to swim, but it was always going to be faster and determined to find new ways to play with us. Rows of razor teeth clamped down on my leg as it caught up to us, going between us in turn to attack and torture these weird, leggy creatures in the sun. The next impact rammed my ribs into my lungs. I couldn't tell we couldn't escape together, as delighted in our slaughter and pain. One friend was already torn to pieces, the head floating like a toy ball, which it gleefully nudged towards us like some kind of sick game. I held my side desperately to keep in my organs as the ruthless mammal rammed the ball right into my remaining friend's face. After a few minutes, I thought it was over, and I dragged myself onto the boat, watching the cruel fin swim away. But my relief was brief. I was all out of luck, as the wild animal decided it wasn't done with me today. I leapt onto the boat and hauled me into the sea. I'd never make it back to dry land, and my friends would never be seen again. Oh then. The dying light. Red dot glare reflects over the treacherous waters. I watch you. You watch me. We turn our gaze to the dying sun as you begin to grip my shoulders. I am ensnared here in your icy grasp. Alert, scared, but in love. We watch the sun ominously descend below the horizon, like a predator diving beneath the waves. As the darkness begins to close in, you turn to me and say those bittersweet words. I love you. Something reflects in the inky depths of your eyes as you speak them. My pulse races as I realize the truth. Each word hangs beneath us until I reply. I love you. We sit in silence as we evaluate each other, cold dread sinking deep into my bones in the paralyzing silence. And then you kiss me. We descend to hell as your blade sinks between my ribs, while the heartless stars wink knowingly from above as they pierce the sky. You pull me to my feet, but I'm shaking. You lend me your coat, wrapping me securely, kind of act to conceal the knife in my heart. The heat begins to spread as the pain grows like twisted thorns within my chest. I can barely breathe as you force me to move. My nerves on fire, senses flooded with agony. You drag me to the woods and sit beside me. The warm sensation of the pain gradually gives way to the creepy cold of death's fingers caressing me. I'm almost ready to come to this sweet embrace, but there's one last thing I must do. My strength fading, I slip my hand into my pocket. There it is. The click of the safety catch is masked by the ragged breathing as my lungs begin to fail. I smile, knowing the last laugh will be mine as I take you to hell by my side. I squeeze the trigger as the world starts to fade from my vision. The bang that seals your fate is my final lullaby, as I fall asleep one last time in your arms. Okay. One last one. Here be monsters. The nets were heavy as the rusted machinery dragged them in. Fair catch after an exhausting night. The moonlight casts its glow over endless scales, a withering mass of soul that will make us our usual pittance at the morning market. Your crooked old smile warmed the deck as we toiled to sort and clean our hearts before they went into the hold. It was the end of a lifetime for both of us, but we were so tired. Lonely years on the ocean, our rusted trawler a makeshift home, our adrenaline crew our only family upon the waves. But tonight was just us, our final trial, our farewell to the sea and all the trouble she hid. Dull gray hair and clouded blue eyes still twinkled in the starlight as you clapped a calloused hand on my aching shoulder. Looks like we're beating well tomorrow. The last time I hear this line, unchanged across the decades, you smiled melancholy beneath your grizzled beard as we celebrated our success. Fetch the bottle, Captain, and we'll toast to ya. Our response was the same as always, a rueful flick to your black and white cap, the one thing that somehow escaped the ravages of time. I knew it would sit upon your mantle, a reminder of the life you could have had, only thing left of who you were. But before you could fetch the sherry from the cabin, we heard a scream from across the waves. We stopped in horror and leaned across the starboard side, concerned by the distressing wail echoing through the night. A terrified voice, a cry for help, but no other boats in sight. I hauled the anchor while you took the helm, steering us swiftly in the direction of the howl. I could barely believe my eyes as I waved a hand to signal you to stop. Your feet stumbled across the damp deck, joining me at the edges as I wondered if this was a nightmare. There were never rocks here before, but there it was, perched atop them, her eerie wail and grotesque form filling the night with unearthly dread. Just like the stories our ancestors warned, a human body but monstrous tail dangled in the edge of the water. Come to me, fair sailors, she began to croon. Cast all your fears away. Don't go, my friend, I spoke in vain. There's only death beneath the waves. Why not this time? He heavily sighed. At least there is beauty if I must die. Come to me, my love, she grinned, teeth bared. All that you are will be mine. I could hardly believe what I saw as she swam to our side, claw outstretched towards you. Your life on land has met its end, her taunting continued. But here in the sea, I'll take your pain. But then, what of my friends? You turned to me. Will I ever see them all again? I saw your face, all frowns forlorn, but truth be told, I was not torn. What she offers is not true. She will only be the death of you. You kicked off your boats and took off your cap, pushing away my grip as I desperately tried to stop you. You turned to the siren as if she were a long-lost love and leapt off the side of the boat into the water. And when your feet touched the waves, you began to scream. Your legs ensnarled in her tentacles, joints being torn apart, agony twisting your face into one I barely recognized anymore. She ripped open the flesh on your forehead, and soon your blood turned the waters red as she tore apart every inch of you. I ran to leave, the sun horror subsiding, but I knew I should sail. I had to flee. But upon the deck her friends were already waiting for me. That's wild. Well, a PunderBash. Okay. Well, here's the credits. Jen, I fear a murder bear. Woolsey. Okay. Alright, well, that is the end of Summer Horror Days. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all did, of course, you know, like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever it is that you want to do. I will link the game below if you want to play some more yourself. But yeah, if you made it this far, I appreciate it. If not, that's fine too. And yeah, hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next one.